please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody. So today we are going to continue our 3 Reasons Why series with the Minnesota Wild. In this video, I will tell you 3 reasons why the Minnesota Wild will make the playoffs this year and 1 reason they will not. Before I start, I just quickly want to remind everyone to please hit that subscribe button and follow along for all of my hockey content. It's greatly appreciated. I've got a lot of great content coming your way over the next few months. And hit that like button if you haven't already. Those thumbs up really do go a long way in helping the community grow. So the Minnesota Wild, the number 1 reason that they will make the playoffs is the underdog status. Minnesota is a team that right now, second to last in the Central Division, but only 3 points out of a playoff spot. And nobody really expected them to make the playoffs this year. I think a lot of people thought Minnesota would finish probably last in the division. I know I did, even before the season started. And Minnesota's been better this year, a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Right now, they're only 3 points out of a playoff spot. And they're an underdog team that doesn't really have high expectations. They've already fired their coach, so there's the pressure's off there. Bill Guerin is in his first season as the team's GM, trying to turn things around in Minnesota. So they're going to give him time to do his thing at the GM position. So the pressure's off there. There's no, it's not like the GM's about to get fired or anything like that. So really with Minnesota, the pressure is off. They weren't really expected to be a playoff team this year. So the fact that they're this close, this late in the season, with a lot of games in hand on other teams is it's an added bonus for the Minnesota Wild this year. So, that might be a good thing for them. They can play loose. They can just go out and play. And maybe that's enough to where, hey, guys, we're not expected to do anything, but here we are, 3 points out. We can actually make it. We can actually do this, and that might give them an added push here to come in and make the playoffs before the end of the season. Reason number 2 that Minnesota will make the playoffs this season is their recent play. They are 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. They are actually playing really good hockey here recently, and it's working out for them. It's keeping them in this playoff race, and possible 20 points in their past 10 games. They've got 13 of those 20 points, so that's actually pretty darn good there for Minnesota. Certainly for a bubble playoff team. That they've been playing well, and really since Bruce Boudreau's been fired, they've kind of been playing pretty well. So that's been good for the Wild, and it's keeping them in the playoff race, and that's one of the main reasons I think that they still could make it. They're playing well at the right time of the season as we head into the final month here of March, and we'll see how it goes, but their recent play has certainly been good. Number 3 reason that the Minnesota Wild will make the playoffs this season is they're going to need some great goaltending. And there's no doubt about it, Devan Dubnyk has struggled this year. Only 11 wins on the season, .892 save percentage, 3.34 goals against average. Dubnyk has been bad. It's been a bad year for Devan Dubnyk. They need him to play better down the stretch here in the month of March if they want to make it. On the bright side, though, Alex Stalock has actually been a really good bright spot for Minnesota this year. He started more games than Dubnyk. He's been the better goalie this season. He's 16-9-4 on the season with a .907 save percentage and a 2.74 goals against average. Stalock's actually played really well, and he's probably going to start more games down the stretch here. And if he keeps playing like this, they have a legit shot to make it. If Stalock can play like the way he has all season, and Dubnyk can play a little bit better here in the last month, that goaltending might be good enough to get Minnesota into the playoffs. It hasn't been great up to this point in the season, but if they can improve And if they can play better, particularly Dubnyk play better here in the final month, they are not out of it in the West, and they will have a chance to possibly snag a wild card spot if they can get some better goaltending down the stretch. So if that happens, that will be a major reason why they're able to get into the playoffs, better goaltending down the stretch. So those are the 3 reasons why I think Minnesota can and will make the playoffs this season. The underdog status has the pressure off, the expectations low. They just got to go out and play. They've been playing really well recently is number 2, and getting good goaltending from Alex Stalock and hopefully better goaltending from Devan Dubnyk would be a big reason why they get in. So now let's switch it to the one reason that they do not make the playoffs, and it is the number of teams that they have to pass. Yes, they're only 3 points out, but when you look at the standings, they would have to pass Arizona, Winnipeg, and Nashville to get into a playoff spot. You know, they'd have to pass 3 teams here with only 20 games left in the season. They'd have to pass 2 divisional rivals in Winnipeg and Nashville to get into the regular season, into the postseason, excuse me. I just don't think that that's going to probably happen. That's a lot of teams to have to pass and make up points on with only 20 games, basically a little over a month left in this season. That's going to be tough there for Minnesota. Is it impossible? Certainly not. But is it likely? I would say probably not. I think it's much more likely that Nashville or Minnesota gets that, or Nashville or Winnipeg gets that final spot instead of Minnesota, particularly Nashville, who has been playing pretty well recently and is now in that second wild card spot. And again, when you look at who's the better team, if you look at the rosters on paper and you ask hockey fans who has a better roster, Nashville or Minnesota, they're probably going to say Nashville. If you look at Winnipeg, who has a better roster, Winnipeg or Minnesota, they're probably going to say Winnipeg. So Minnesota's got to beat teams that are better than them. They've got to beat teams that are higher than them in the standings, and they would have to pass 3 teams to get into a playoff spot. I don't really see that happening, to be honest with you. And if I had to make a prediction, if you had to ask right now, does Minnesota make the playoffs or not, I would lean towards no. They still certainly can, but if I had to predict now, I would say that Minnesota does not make the playoffs this season. I think it's much more likely to go to Nashville or Winnipeg for that final wild card spot. And Minnesota's still in it, and I got to give them credit for that. They've been much, much better this season than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be a last-place team in the division. They're not. They're still very much in the playoff race, and we're ending February here very soon. So it's been a better year than I expected from the Wild, and they certainly still have a chance to make it, as I talked about in the 3 reasons why they will. I just think at the end of the day, they've got too many teams to pass at this point. I think Nashville and Winnipeg are slightly better teams, and that is going to end up meaning that Minnesota does not make the postseason this year. But there's 3 reasons why Minnesota will make the playoffs and 1 reason that they won't. At the end of the day, I don't think Minnesota gets in, but that's just my opinion. And there it is. There's the video, guys. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys soon.